Esports is a beautiful phenomenon that has taken all over the world. Audiences of all ages, all over the globe, are now a part of it. And as esports will rise, so will the passions of everyone interested in it. Esports for PC and console games has been around for quite a while. But as we enter the new decade, mobile games seem to be leading the charge. Can mobile games truly change the landscape of esports as we know it? And if yes, which ones?
PUBG Mobile is a super popular game across Asia. At this point, I think it's safe to say that it has become a fairly successful esport. Other shooter games like FREEFIRE and Call of Duty Mobile are also trying their level best to get ahead of it. But how do you define which game is more successful as an esport title? Is it the number of people who play it? Is it the prize pool? Or the number of tournaments that happen in a year? Could it be how inclusive the game is to newer players? Or is it the number of livelihoods that the game supports? It really is a complicated metric, and there are several factors that go into making a game a successful esport title. So far, no game in the world has each and every factor ticked off. Not a single one. Each one has its own unique pros and cons of its own. For the sake of this video, we will be comparing the three most popular mobile shooter games, PUBG Mobile, Call of Duty and FREEFIRE. And we will be judging them on the basis of 5 unique criterias. First one being the number of downloads for each game, the statistics of the viewership, number of tournaments and the prize pool, developer support and accessibility. And we will be rating each of these games out of 3. So let's get started. Before we begin, just a quick request to subscribe to our channel to get more updates in all the developments of the mobile esports sector. Now, without wasting much time, let's get into this. Let's first start by comparing the number of people that play these games. While PUBG Mobile and FREEFIRE are pretty popular, Call of Duty is lacking a bit behind these games, even though the franchise has been around for much longer. So when we compare the number of people that play these games, PUBG Mobile leads the way. According to the official website statistics, PUBG Mobile has the highest number of downloads out of these three, more than 600 million. FREEFIRE follows close behind at 450 million, but keep in mind that these numbers are a year after these games were released. Call of Duty was released on 1st October 2019, just 3 months ago, much after these other two games, so obviously the total number of downloads are lesser compared to the other two. But if we compare the first week download statistics, boy, that's when Call of Duty shines. Call of Duty Mobile crossed more than 100 million downloads within a week of launching, while PUBG Mobile had only 28 million. Unfortunately, the first week statistics for FREEFIRE are not available. Judging by these numbers, it's fair to say that Call of Duty is also fairly popular. The game has a good enough fan base. The overall Call of Duty franchise is much older than PUBG. I mean, the first Call of Duty game was released when I was still a baby. In 2019, Google Play Store rated Call of Duty as the best game of the year and also as the top user's choice game. So, even if the current download numbers are not available accurately, it's fair to say that it isn't lagging too far behind the other two games. It's still there. A lot of people do play this game. So given these results, we'd rate PUBG Mobile a total of 3 stars, while we'd give 2.5 stars to Garena FREEFIRE. And given the current numbers, 2 stars to Call of Duty Mobile. But let's not take away all the credit from COD Mobile just yet, because it has the potential to go beyond this and maybe even touch 3 stars. So, Call of Duty is not lacking players. Then why is it lagging behind as an esports title? Could it be viewership? Let's get to the second aspect and compare the viewership of these two games. Now, data suggests that the Spring Championship of PUBG Mobile Club Open did better than its fall iteration. Almost all the metrics, such as peak viewership, watch time, average viewership, were higher during the spring season, despite the fact that Fall Championship had 1 extra day of competition. For this analysis, we will limit our focus only to the main event and the prelim stage, as the qualification process for these two seasons were quite different in terms of format and structure, and they're really hard to compare. What hasn't changed though from the Spring Championship is the fact that the viewership from South Asia and Southeast Asia is still much higher than the rest of the world. However, across the board, the viewership has decreased. The Hindi language livestream was the most watched one during the Spring Championship, recording a peak viewership figure of more than 230,000. So the peak concurrent viewership of both the streams is somewhere between 5 to 600,000 viewers. But when it comes to Garena Free Fire, this game smashes all the records. Free Fire World Series had a peak concurrent viewership of 2 million. It clearly shows that Free Fire is leading in terms of viewership. While these two figures may not compare the two games properly because they are just the comparisons of two tournaments, the difference is too big to be ignored. PUBG Mobile Club Open is the most prestigious tournament, but it's not the only one. PUBG has several more tournaments, such as the PUBG Mobile Crew Challenge, the Star Challenge. There are several other tournaments like All Stars, and there are other regional tournaments as well, such as the Southeast Asia League or the PUBG Mobile India Tour, and so on and so forth. Every region gets a thing of its own. For the sake of simplicity, we are only considering the premier tournaments of this game, so that even if there is a small chance that PUBG might overtake Free Fire, if you add up all the numbers of all the different tournaments that happen all over the world, the difference between 500,000 and 2 million is still pretty huge. While we have established that PUBG Mobile and Garena Free Fire are the clear behemoths in terms of tournaments and viewership, Call of Duty hardly has any tournaments. The only major tournament that Call of Duty Mobile has seen so far is the Creator Challenge, which had a total of 10 million views on the Portuguese WOD, which, even though it sounds big, is nowhere near the 2 million concurrent viewership of Free Fire, which later translated into 27 million total views. Going by these numbers, we'd rate a full 3 stars to Free Fire because it leads by a huge margin, 2 stars to PUBG Mobile, and only 1 star to Call of Duty Mobile. Even though Call of Duty has lesser numbers in viewership, you need to cut it some slack. The game is just 3 months old at the time of making this video, whereas PUBG and Free Fire have existed for more than a year. Free Fire is 2 years old, and the PC version of PUBG also is 2 years old because both were released in 2017. Secondly, this Creator Challenge tournament of Call of Duty had a prize pool of only $30,000. PMCO had a prize pool of $500,000. The prize pool for Free Fire World Series tournament was $380,000, just slightly lesser than PMCO. The stats between viewership and tournament go hand in hand. Since there was only one major tournament for Call of Duty, that too with a relatively small prize pool of $30,000, there was not a lot at stake. And since it's not a big tournament, it suffers in the terms of people watching it as well. So, when it comes to size and frequency of tournaments, PUBG Mobile once again takes the cake with 3 stars, Free Fire with 2 stars, and Call of Duty with only 1. This is one fundamental difference between a lot of PC and mobile titles. The game receives a lot of support from the studio that developed it, as they themselves organize and moderate the tournament, provide the money for the prize pool, and market the game even more. One big reason for the success of PUBG Mobile, at least in India, which is their primary market, was all the marketing activity they did. PUBG Mobile came up with the first ever gaming related web series, Dosti Ka Naam Maidan. We have seen plenty of other game developers come up with promotional videos and movies in the past, but Tencent was the first one to go ahead and develop a full-fledged web series with experienced scriptwriters, actors, directors, and influencers. Naturally, if so much money is being pumped into marketing, the game was bound to be successful. Now, there was no marketing like this for Call of Duty or for Free Fire, at least not in India. Maybe Garena would have done something in South America to gain popularity, but we cannot say for sure because we haven't seen that marketing activity being done and there's not a lot of data available about it as well. It's really difficult to compete with Tencent. If Garena wants to win a marketing battle against Tencent, they need to pump in more money, and let's be honest, Tencent has much more money than Garena, so PUBG pretty much wins the battle right there. For those of you who did not know, Tencent controls hundreds of subsidiaries and associates in numerous industries and areas, creating a broad portfolio of ownerships and investment across a diverse range of businesses. These businesses include Search engine, e-commerce, retail, video game, real estate, software, virtual reality, ride-sharing, banking, financial services, automobile, film and music production, space technology, big data, agriculture, medical services, social media, IT, streaming media, artificial intelligence, robotics, UAV, food delivery, education, and renewable energy. It's one of the most active investment corporations in the world, which takes in over 600 companies. So no, Tencent definitely has deeper pockets, which means they can outmarket Garena in any scenario. So why doesn't Tencent try to market Call of Duty the same way? I mean, it has all the money, so why not just market Call of Duty as well? Actually, Tencent has made it very clear, and it's pretty much obvious that they prefer PUBG over Call of Duty. A few months ago, a popular gaming influencer, 8-Bit Thug's invite to PUBG Mobile India 2 was cancelled simply because he streamed Call of Duty on his channel. That's it. Now, we don't know why Tencent prefers one game over the other. Perhaps they don't want Call of Duty to cannibalize on their other Battle Royale game, or maybe it's because they have something against Activision. We will never know. But what we do know for sure is that Call of Duty will never become an esport unless Tencent nurtures it the way they nurtured PUBG. For the sake of comparison, let's say Call of Duty does get the love and support from Tencent. Then can it overtake PUBG Mobile? Yes, I think it can. Plus, Call of Duty already has a really storied history as the competitive circuits for COD already exist. If COD Mobile does become a proper esport, a lot of existing organizations might pick up rosters, and it will be exciting to see COD being played on more than just PCs and consoles. So when it comes to developer support, both PUBG and FREEFIRE obviously get 3 stars because their publishers love them so much. Call of Duty, on the other hand, I'm not even sure if I should give it any stars at all, but still I'll give it 1 star to just be generous. Keep in mind though, that even though Call of Duty is lacking stars in pretty much every other field, this field is what matters the most. The moment Call of Duty starts getting more supports from its creators and more marketing money is pushed into it, it will improve in all the other aspects as well. Lastly, the only remaining point that we are left to address is accessibility. Initially, people with low-end devices who had trouble running PUBG used to have more fun playing FREEFIRE because it was a less graphic-intensive game, meaning players with low-end phones can run FREEFIRE smoothly, thereby giving them an access to a larger market. PUBG realized its weakness and they released PUBG Lite so that it's accessible to people of every demographic and every phone type. In terms of accessibility, both these games are doing pretty well. Call of Duty though still has some issues running on lower end devices and it's not that smooth. If it can tackle this problem, it can give both the other shooters a run for its money. Final verdict in this category, FREEFIRE gets 3 stars for accessibility, PUBG Mobile 2 stars, and COD again down to only 1 star. But keep in mind that even though we did say that better developer support and better marketing support can fix most of the problems for Call of Duty, accessibility is the only one problem that it cannot fix. Well, there you have it, folks. PUBG Mobile versus FREEFIRE versus Call of Duty. That was the rundown as to what these games showed us in 2019. PUBG Mobile had higher prize pools and more money, whereas FREEFIRE had more viewers. PUBG dominates in Asia, whereas FREEFIRE dominates in South America. And both these games are trying to steal users away from each other's region. Call of Duty has shown really promising results with very little support and in very little time. But with just a bit more time and effort, it can become a real esport. Whatever the case, we know that 2020 is gonna be an absolute banger and a great year for mobile esports. If you enjoyed the video, please click the like button and let us know in the comments below what you think is gonna happen in 2020 and which game will take the lead. Subscribe for more quality esports content. Thanks for watching and we will see you next time.